Hello, welcome to Pondo Dreams. In this video, I'll be talking to you about an American history curriculum that we developed for our children in grades 2 and 3. Let's get started. Our first year of homeschooling was 2 years ago, and our children were in 2nd and 3rd grade. We really wanted to, first and foremost, create a love for history. My husband was a history major, and I really love studying history as well. So we decided we wanted to select a program that would create that love within our children as well. And we thought the best way to do that, especially at those ages, was through a story format, reading together. So we chose to cover American history, and the first thing that we came across we really liked was this If You program from Scholastic, and it's really a series of books. I have 13 of them here, and each one starts with If You, and then it tells you a particular point in history. This one is the If You sailed on the Mayflower in 1620. So we chose this to be our spine, and since the first book starts off with the Mayflower, we knew that we wanted to supplement a little further back than that. So we went to the library and we checked out 2 books that we read first. We read Before Columbus, The Americas of 1491, and then we read Who Was Christopher Columbus? And then we were ready to start this. So I'm going to just kind of show you the covers of all of these, but I want to take you through the very first one here. If You Sailed on the Mayflower in 1620. And all of these books tend to follow the same format. They take you through what was life like for families, and in particular, what was life like for the children. What kind of ship was the Mayflower? How many people were on it? Were the people on the ship friends? What could the pilgrims take with them? What would you eat and drink while you were on the Mayflower? Where would you sleep? Would you be able to stay clean? Was this safe? Could you have fun? And then we get to what was the first thing the pilgrims did when they got on shore? What did they find on Cape Cod? Why didn't they stay there? And it just kind of carries on like that. When you get to, did they have medicine, friends? What did they learn from Squanto? Did pilgrims and the other Indians get along? What were the terms of peace treaty? Would you live in a log cabin? Where did you sleep? What kind of furniture would you have? What were the table manners like for children? What did they wear? Did they go to school? And it just takes you through daily life and really breaks down what it would have been like in that point in history. Each book does that. And what I really like in the Mayflower book also here is you get a cutaway of the Mayflower, and it takes you through where the flour would have been stored, the barrels of water, their general supplies, the main hold for cargo, and just really shows you like how cramped the quarters were, where the pilgrims would have been on the boat. So I like that. And this is basically what the layout looks like for each one. And they have different illustrators, but most of the books do maintain sort of the same style. They definitely have the same layout, and they're very easy to read through. They run in the 60 to 80 page range per book, and we usually took about 3 or 4 days to read each one. And at this point, for their when they were in 2nd and 3rd grade, we probably did history once, maybe twice a week. They really did enjoy it, and we actually did get through these earlier in the school year than I had projected, which was fine because I had other things planned for us as well. So that is what the book series looks like. So this is the Mayflower. Then the next one in the book series is If You Were at the First Thanksgiving. And then we read If You Lived in Colonial Times. And then when we went back to the library, we checked out another book before we moved on. And we read from the You Wouldn't Want To series. We read You Wouldn't Want to Be at the Boston Tea Party. And that is another really good, fun series to read with kids. Then we came back in and we read If You Lived at the Time of the American Revolution. And if you were there when they signed the Constitution, and this gives a really great breakdown and explains what the Constitution is, then we stopped and paused and we did a Native American unit study. And to do that, we did have 3 books from the series. We had If You Lived with the Sioux Indians, If You Lived with the Iroquois, and If You Lived with the Cherokee. And these take you through the day-to-day life of each one of these tribes. And so you can see a little bit of the difference in how each tribe would have been and where geographically. And so that was a really nice comparison. And we also had this book from Usborne. It was the Usborne Starting Point History. Who were the first North Americans? And this is a small book, but it is really packed with some great information on day-to-day life. So that we took a few days to go through this. And at the very end, it has In Search of the Thunderbird, which says, at the top of many totem poles, there is the carving of a mighty bird with an eagle's beak and piercing eyes. This is the myth of what that bird is and how its totem was made. And then it has the story there. We enjoyed that. And then we took 3 other books to add to our study. We got check those out at the library. We read Explore Native American Cultures, which was great. It really broke it down geographically to all the different points in North America and covered a lot of tribes in that book. And then we also read 2 picture books, Grandmother's Dreamcatcher and How the Stars Fell Into the Sky, a Navajo Legend. And those really rounded out and gave us a great series. And I will tell you, we also, for that, went to Teachers Pay Teachers, and I did use them throughout to get a few handouts or just things for the kids to work on, different activities. If you haven't been to Teachers Pay Teachers before, they have a lot of great, inexpensive, and free materials that are all developed by teachers. And so we supplemented our Native American unit study and several of these books throughout. There's materials on there. So I recommend that if you want to add any kind of handouts or written work. And then after that, we needed to add one more from the library before we jumped back in. I wanted to segue in with the You Would Not Want to Explore with Lewis and Clark book. And then we moved back into the If You series with If You Traveled West in a Covered Wagon. And then we moved into If You Lived When There Was Slavery in America. If You Traveled on the Underground Railroad, and that segued into If You Lived at the Time of the Civil War. And this was really the end point that we were trying to get to with American history for our first year. And we were going to stop there, but I found one more book, so I got that. If Your Name Was Changed at Ellis Island. History really did become a huge favorite subject of ours. In fact, my son, 2 years later, claims that it is his favorite subject and pretty much tells everybody that. The other thing that we did for this year was check out some books from the library to do our state where we live a study, and that was I know that they typically study that in 4th grade in a lot of schools, but we wanted to go ahead and do that. And there's so many wonderful materials there that we were able to round that out. And we did a few biographies of people too that the kids were interested in, and some of the ones that had caught their attention when we were reading through all these books. So, but we achieved our goal, and it ended up being a great year. And I would recommend, especially with younger kids, but really any age, just really making history fun, enjoyable, worrying about more of the chronology and the causation of things instead of trying to memorize a lot of dates. Really just kind of created a love for that. And I would love to answer any questions if you have any. Let me know what you do for history if you would like to in the comments, or if you've read these books. Thank you for joining me today, and I will see you back with another video soon. Please remember to like and to subscribe. Thank you.